What's good, y'all? I hope everybody here is having a great day. I wanted to mention before we get into today's video that I'm giving out a 30% off discount code for all 4 of my online courses. If you're interested in that, all you got to do, go down the pinned comment, go down the description below, plug in the discount code 2024, and you will receive 30% off on any of the courses that I have available. I got 4 of them, one on the Hippopotamus Defense, which I played exclusively to reach the National Master title. I got one on the Ponziani opening. I got one on the Czech Pirc, so much fun for the black side. And I got one on how to crush the Scandinavian defense with a move of Knight to C3. Okay, now, hope you guys enjoy them. When you add them all together, we got over 20 hours of content for you guys on the platform in terms of online chess courses. And yeah, I mean, this discount code is good till the end of the year. Let's now head over to the video. In today's video, we continue our Pirc Defense series, looking at how to play against the spike attack. Now, most of you probably haven't even heard of the spike attack, and that's partly because it's so rare and also partly because it's just horrible. But I do think that there are some interesting lessons that we can learn in terms of chessboard geometry and how to approach the opening in general when pushing kingside pawns. So here, white, with the move e4, we can play d6. Now, maybe you play a mainline Pirc. Maybe you play a Czech Pirc Defense, right? In either case, when you play this move of pawn to d6, we usually see a move like d4. We usually see that. You can play knight f6, and then if a move like knight c3, you can play c6 with the Czech Pirc Defense, or a move like g6 with the main line. Those are a couple of different options that you have available. The spike attack is this move of pawn to g4, and it is so weird starting off, right? I mean, who made this up? I don't know. Why is it called the spike attack? I actually don't know, guys. If one of you can educate me in the comment section on why this is called the spike attack, I would appreciate it. At the end of the day, this is just a bad move. It's just a bad move. It's too early. Now, sure, when you're playing the 150 attack as white, at some point you can look to get g4 in, right? White will often play d4, knight c3, develop the bishop, f3, queen d2, whatever, start pushing with g4. But white doesn't have the developmental infrastructure yet to pull that off. This is just too early. And the move that I'm recommending here is actually pawn to d5, pushing the pawn again. And I know I usually would, I mean, I don't even know if I've ever recommended this, moving the same pawn twice in the opening. You know, the moves 1 and 2, that's pretty rare to play d6 and then go, you know what, I'm going to push the pawn again. But here's the idea. Black really can't take. Black can't take. By pushing this pawn to g4, there's 2 major weaknesses, 2 diagonals, that is, that we really got to think about. There's this long diagonal from a8 to h1. Now you might be thinking, well, maybe a bishop's going to go in that square. We'll cover that. But if black ends up getting this queen on d5 before bishop g2 is played, this is bad for white. This is bad news. The other diagonal that I really want us to think about is this short side diagonal from h4 to e1, right? We have the long side diagonal from a1 to e1. In this case, let's just think generally, pawns aside. If we check on that diagonal, what potential pieces can block for white? Well, the queen, the bishop, or the knight. Any of these 3, any 3 of these can end up potentially blocking on the long side diagonal. But on the short side diagonal, what back rank pieces can block from their starting positions? Nothing. The bishop can't do it. The knight can't do it. The rook can't do it. So this is a very weakening move to play this that early on in the game. If white takes, queen takes d5. You don't have your bishop there yet. If you do it now, it's a little bit late. If you play a move like knight f3, bishop takes g4. We're up material. If a move like f3, we still take on g4. And if you take back, thank you for the rook. If a move like queen f3, let's take and then capture on g4. So at the end of the day, if your opponent does go with the move of g4, and you play d5 and they take, queen takes d5, white is going to go down material there. It doesn't matter what they try to do. They're losing their rook, they're losing a pawn, they're losing a piece, they're losing something there. And I actually just think that, you know, in this kind of position, black's winning. I think this is a winning position for black if you play it correctly. Okay, going back to the move d5. What else can white do here? Again, this is just too early of a move. Maybe later on in the game this is better, but right now it is way too early, not to mention that our bishop is directly attacking it and you don't have a pawn defending it. That is huge. What if white here tries to defend the pawn? And we see a move like pawn to d3. Well, we can capture on e4. And I will say, if a move like knight c3 there, I actually don't recommend taking on d3. Now, sure, black is still good here according to the engine, but I think practically it can get a little bit scary. I mean, if at any point we play knight f6, maybe g5 can be played, and this is just starting to feel not all that comfortable to me. So I think from a practical standpoint here, I would just play a move like knight c6, right? If a move like d takes e4, the last move, or right now, we can capture on d1. If the king takes back, we capture on g4. And if the knight takes back, well, we capture on g4. The queen is the only defender there. So if white lets us trade off and then just pick off a pawn and quickly castle, we're up material going into the endgame. We're winning that, okay? Going back to knight c6, what if knight takes e4? This allows the queen to stay present in the game, defending that pawn on g4. Well, in this case, we can play a move like e5, just advance in the center of the board. By playing g4 and e4, white has also weakened f4 a ton. No white pawn for the rest of this game can attack / defend that square, and we are targeting it immediately. Now, sure, that doesn't mean we necessarily need to throw a piece in there right away, but we are going to attack it. We are going to put pressure on that spot. We are going to, make it known in this game that f4 is a square that we own by playing the move pawn to e5. A move like bishop g2, we can play bishop e6. And look, if white wants to chase your bishop around, I actually don't mind bishop d5. Again, if white takes, we capture back. We have ownership of that diagonal. And if a move like queen f3, there's multiple things that we can do here. The engine actually likes queen d7, just dropping that queen back, not trading down, right? When you're up material, trade down. When you're down material, don't trade down. When you're not, if it's even material, then it gets a little bit harder trying to figure out if to trade or not. I think in this case, keeping queens on the board is actually not a bad idea because this queen is defending or babysitting g4. Our queen is actively attacking it, and white's king side is just overly extended. If white goes, you know what, I'm going to make that pawn on g4 a little bit less weak by playing h3. All right, let's throw a knight in. Let's throw in a knight, into the spot of d4. If a move like queen d1, queen c6, beautiful tactical idea. Double attacking c2 with our queen and our knight, and also going after the hanging rook. Again, this diagonal can be a huge issue for white once that bishop falls off. So knight d4, if a move like queen takes b7, we can throw in a check. And if king d1, let's just move our rook. Look, take the knight all you want. If you do that, queen takes d3, and this game's over. So going back to the move d5. d3 there, we can capture back. If you take with the pawn, thank you for the queen. We're going to take the pawn on g4. If we see d3 and then knight c3 there, I just recommend just continuing to develop. If the knight ends up capturing back, you can play e5. Play actively in the center of the board. Look towards weaknesses. White has a ton. You don't have any. What if we see a move here like knight to c3 to start? Well, I actually now like the move of pawn to d4. And this is, an idea that you could see in the Scandinavian. When you play the move knight c3, you could see black push with d4. I have a course from the white perspective on how to play knight c3. Here's the difference though. When you play knight c3 against the move of pawn to d5 with the Scandi, this knight can calmly go back to e2. But with the spike attack, we just take the pawn. We just take it. Right, so that's not going to work. In this case, the knight, the best thing, according to the engine, the best thing that white can do is give up that pawn. In all honesty, if I was white here, I'd probably try knight b1, but here we have knight f6. We're attacking both pawns. If a move like f3, defending both, notice just how weak the short side diagonal is getting, by the way. We can play knight back to d7 and then e5, threatening queen h4 with check, potentially. That can be a very dangerous move. If white tries to stop it, I kind of like bishop e7, making it a target, playing h6. If you capture back, bishop takes h4 with check. And look at white's position. It's just horrible. So going back to the move d5, this move g4, so many weaknesses are prematurely formed by playing that too fast in the game. If you're going to play g4 at some point as white, that's okay, but you want to get some development first. You want to get some piece activity. You want to get some infrastructure in place so that you're ready for this kind of stuff. And in this case, white's just not ready for anything because they haven't moved any of their back rank pieces. Any of them. Okay, this is just bad. If a move like bishop g2, defending the pawn, in this case, there's multiple things you can do. You can take on e4. You could also play d4. The engine actually really likes this, and I kind of do too. This bishop on g2 is really not active at this point. It's just not. And if a move like d3, we play e5, that bishop is locked in. Our bishop is actually very active, and this bishop on e7 can also get active in the future as well. Maybe coming to e7, d6, solid spot, then it could kind of read out things. b4 potentially. If a move like f4 here, trying to play aggressive, queen h4 check. White can resign pretty quickly here. And if a move like h4, trying to slow that down, all right, let's just keep developing. Knight c6, if we play f4 now, we can take. bishop d6. Beautiful move, going after these dark squares. If queen f3, knight h6. I actually really like this move. The whole idea there is that, look, if you take the knight, knight e5, attacking the queen, we're going to capture back. And sure, these pawns are weak. I mean, really, the pawn on h6 is weak. It's doubled and it's isolated. But how is white going to defend g4? How are they going to do it? It's tough. It's tough, right? I mean, something like bishop h3 defending... Oh, thanks for the pawn. Something like bishop to f3. I mean, in that case, all right, let's play a move like bishop to e6. Maybe we'll play c5, queen d7, castle queenside, c4 ideas, more pressure on g4. What is white doing? I don't know. If a move like g5 pushing the pawn, we can take on f4. Nice little intermediate move. If the pawn takes, get our bishop the heck out of there. If the queen takes, knight g4, we're looking to jump into that dark squared weakness of e3. And if bishop takes d6, the queen captures back, and the queen is doing a great job here of slicing and dicing on dark squares. We're looking towards, b4 potentially. We're looking towards squares like e5, f4, g3, h2. How does white contest with the queen? Well, it's hard. I mean, you really can't at the moment. You can play bishop h3. In that case, we can actually take on g4 with the knight. Whole idea being if you take back with the queen, we just win your queen. And if you take back with the bishop, fork idea, knight e5. We're taking this bishop, and yet again, I say this a bunch in this kind of spike attack opening, but white can just resign. If you see the move g4, play d5, white is on the brink of losing this game, and I'm not kidding. What if we see a move here like pawn to e5? White pushing this pawn. Maybe white's trying to play aggressively. I mean, that's all I can think of. Maybe they're playing g4, trying to get that move in quick so that they can, really get an attack on our king. But by the way, guys, if you have a bunch of pawn space and you don't have development, it doesn't matter. But okay, e5. In this case, I really like c5. There's different things you can do there. I like c5, though, because we're really putting pressure on d4. And, we're trying to prohibit white from playing d4 in an easy fashion, defending the pawn on e5. We can't play timid in a position like this, okay? I'm not going to recommend e6, c6, knight d... Whoa. White's going to get all this space. Let's take some space. White's giving it to us. Let's play the move of pawn to c5. If a move like pawn to c3, there's different things that we can do here. I mean, one of them is h5. This is a computer move, h5, attacking this pawn like crazy. If f3, that short side diagonal got weakened again. If h3, we can take, and you can't take back unless you want to lose your rook. If a move like g takes, we can play d4, just continuing to push. Knight c6, if f4, knight h6. Notice how we're really looking towards squares that our opponent's pawns cannot attack or defend for the rest of this game. But personally, if I was black, I'd probably just play knight c6. I mean, if white wants to try d4, I'd like taking. I like queen b6. We're doubling up on that pawn. If the bishop wants to play bishop e3, thank you for the pawn on b2. If white wants to try something like knight f3, bishop takes g4. You put your freaking pawn on a square where our bishop is directly attacking it after the first move, and only your queen defends it. This is not good news for white. So the spike attack, let's be real, you're probably never going to see it, or if you do, it's going to be a rarity. But I do think that it's important to not just cover good openings, but bad openings, why they're bad, why certain moves are weakening, why certain moves aren't, going back, right? E4, D6. Some might say, you know what, G4 here, super aggressive move, taken. No. That's not aggressive. That's just dumb. That's just a bad move. G3, though, I don't mind it. Okay, I'm not going to say it's the best move that white has, but at least here in this case, you're covering dark squares, you're covering light squares. It's a lot more sound positionally. And by playing G3, that short side weakness isn't a weakness at all because you have a pawn eyeing H4. So just be very careful when it comes to pawn pushes in the opening. Sometimes it might be fun to just hurl pawns and hurl pawns and hurl pawns, but if you don't have the piece development to back it up, it's not good. And even if you do, you got to be aware. If you're playing something like the 150 attack, if you're playing something like the Grand Prix and you're pushing your pawns like crazy, you got to be aware of the fact that, look, this is coming at a price. By pushing my pawns, I am by definition weakening them as the game goes on. The further your pawn goes, the weaker it gets, generally speaking, especially in the opening and middle game portions. Now, once you're in the end game, I mean, if the pawn's weak, who cares? What you care about is promotion. But until then, you just want to be careful. I'm not saying don't push pawns. That's part of the game. When I play the hippopotamus defense, I literally push like 6 of my pawns most of the time within the first 10 moves. But you want to be careful in terms of how you do it. Let me know what you thought of this opening for white down below. Let me know if you'd ever think about playing this as white. I hope not, but let me know. And let me know what you think of black's response with the move d5, or if there's any other moves here besides d5 that you actually like for black. Peace. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. And just a quick reminder that in addition to the 30% off all online courses sale this month, we wanted to also give a 20% off sale on our physical merch all December. We got shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more on the merch shelf below, and we got a lot more on the website. So check them out and use the code WINTER20 for 20% off. On top of that, I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of December in 2024. I appreciate you guys a ton. It's been great getting to know you. And yeah, I'm just humbled by your support. And if you guys haven't thought about joining the Patreon community before, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And I look forward to seeing you over there on the platform. Peace.